Hello, welcome back to Talking Giants, brought to you by SeatGeek. Today is October 14th, 2025, and I hope all of you had a great weekend because it's been like 15 years since the Giants have won like a Thursday night football game, I'm pretty sure. So we haven't been able to have this feeling of you win on Thursday night and then you get this mini bye and then you get to sit back and watch whatever football you want on Sunday and not have to worry and not have to stress and sweat about your favorite team winning. So we don't know what it feels like, but man, because it's been so long and because we don't know what it feels like, it felt that much sweeter. And I also want to thank all of you, and I appreciate all of you, because Thursday night's Talking Giants was an event in history of Sean Morash crying. He was so tired and emotional over the Yankees and the Giants win and the fact that we kicked the crap out of the Eagles, and the interaction and the feedback from that was quite interesting. I was floored that was happening, and the interview with Jermaine Illuminor I had on Friday morning was pretty cool too, and I really recommend that you check that out and you listen to it. I thought I did a good job asking some questions, and obviously Jermaine Illuminor is a really insightful and thoughtful dude, and the fact that I got him fresh off that, fresh getting out of the facility on Friday morning, I thought was really cool, and the energy that Dart, I almost just said it like Daboll there. You hear that, Dart? The energy that Dart and Skattebo are bringing to the locker room is infectious, and I know it's one of those words that's like a buzzword and a talking point, but I think it's kind of true. So today's episode, I had Ryan Dunleavy on of the New York Post, and I asked him all about Dart and Skattebo from his perspective, and these guys being so young and quote-unquote naive, and the rest of this locker room is buying into that and not kind of rolling their eyes at these young guys. So we broke down that dynamic. How seriously are the Giants looking into wide receiver? What's the thought process with backup quarterback? And even what's really unique as Thursday night's game happened, and now we're going to see going beyond Thursday night, where Jalen Hurts was notoriously known for being bad against zone coverage, and the Giants with Shane Bowen primarily ran cover one man throughout the entire season so far. Will Shane Bowen mixing up coverages kind of continue? And also, I really wanted Ryan's perspective on, it seems like the players have challenged Shane Bowen from a play calling schematic standpoint of put more on our plates. Let's get more aggressive. All these things that we preach as a defense, and you say what we're about during the summer, let's actually try and be about it. Let's try and play more press. Let's try and disguise what we're doing a little bit more. You pay these players, especially on the back end and the secondary, you pay these players, you invest in these players, put more on their plates. Is that going to happen, and is that going to continue? And did that really come from the players, and what did they have to say about that? So I really asked Ryan about that, because I think it's a real thing. I don't know how forceful they were. Like, was anybody mad, and was anybody like, you got to fucking fix this, or was just kind of like a collaborative process? I don't know what that looked like, but as the Giants' defense kind of changes, I think that's going to be something to monitor and something to keep your eye on. Hopefully they beat the damn Broncos and start what we call a winning streak. But before we get to talking with Ryan Dunleavy, I want to talk to you about Mando, because today's episode is sponsored by Mando. Fall's here, guys. Football season, your work, maybe even hunting trips. That's why you need to hear about Mando deodorant. Forget those colognes that just mask the stink. Mando blocks odor before it even starts. It's one stick, two jobs. That's coverage through double overtime games. That weekend project, even those extra long pre-holiday shifts. I got to tell you what, if you were part of that stream, part of the JM Baseball channel, where I sat for 5 hours and 9 minutes and I didn't move. I spent the whole day at the office. You want to know, right before the stream, while I had everybody sit next to me, you want to know what I put on under my pits? I put on Mando deodorant. And this, man, I'll tell you what, bourbon leather, open it up, smell it. And if you smell, like, what does bourbon leather smell like? Well, it smells exactly like this. I love this bourbon leather Mando. It helps me get going for the day. So all you got to do, as a special offer for you, new customers, you're going to get 20% off site-wide with our exclusive code. Use code TalkinGiants at shopmando.com for 20% off site-wide plus free shipping. That's SHOPMANDO.com. Please support our show. Tell them we sent you. Mando's got you covered. Protect your pits. Smell great doing it. Yeah, my perfect sit was something. 5 hours and 9 minutes. I didn't get up. I had a piss starting at the 6th inning, and the game didn't end until the 15th inning. So I had nine innings. 9 innings. A whole game's worth where I had a piss, but I didn't get up. And we're calling it the perfect sit. How do you like that? Here is Ryan Dunleavy of the New York Post. All right, welcome back into the show. And now I want to welcome in Ryan Dunleavy of the New York Post, who just got off a bunch of Zoom calls with the players on this Monday morning. Ryan, are you bought in?
I'm bought into the excitement. I'm not bought into like the idea that the Giants are suddenly like a playoff team, or as some caller to the fans said, like an Adonai Mitchell trade away from being a Super Bowl contender. But I do think I'm bought into like this might be the most of all the losing Giants teams I've covered, put 2022 aside because they went to the playoffs. Of all the losing Giants teams I've covered, I'm bought into this one being the most exciting since at least 2018 when Odell was throwing touchdown passes to Saquon.
How long have you been covering New York football?
18 was my
Since
first
18?
year.
So, I mean, without a doubt, I mean, you probably, for both teams, you probably can count on one hand the amount of wins that they've had in prime time.
Oh yeah, I probably on one hand I could count the amount of wins they've had on primetime.
So, I mean, without a doubt, I mean, what's amazing for me, we're in it every day. You're in it every day. You're in the building almost every single day. What's amazing to me is seeing this weekend one win on national television, let alone Amazon Prime isn't even national. It's a streaming service, but still one win on national TV, and the cultural phenomenon that these two guys have become is it's so unique for us, in my opinion.
Well, I think this is what standalone games happen. Like I know this is a Giants podcast, but like the Jets just experienced what the Giants usually experience. When you're in a standalone game, the whole league watches.
Yeah,
So people like me can text the coaches on those teams and the executives on those teams and the players on those teams and ask what they thought of the team that's in the standalone. And so you get a bunch of people dumping on the Jets right now. And that's what it was for what was Daniel Jones's primetime record, like 1-15 or
very
whatever it
bad.
was. Like, so yeah, same thing. People just dumping on the Giants for years because when they played standalone games, they were brutal. And like this is the opposite effect of it. You played the whole league. Watched you beat the Super Bowl champions, and they fell in love with your two young guys who are energy drinks personified. So, like, yeah, that's the bet. If that game happened at 1 o'clock Sunday, Dart and Skattebo would be like talk,
Yeah.
but like they wouldn't be like the banner of the NFL account on X. Like that's the benefit of playing well in prime time against that opponent who's kicked your butt for 10 years.
Yeah, there's certainly narrative changers, and that's the one thing that I think we've learned as the years have gone on with this show is like, hey, how you doing prime time? It kind of sets a narrative, even if the rest of the following weeks are kind of shit. It sets a narrative for the rest of the league because like you said, everybody's watching it. So I thought you asked a great question to Daboll after the win about Dart, like the next day about Dart and Skattebo kind of not knowing what they don't know, which is basically I think a nice way of saying two 22 to 23-year-olds haven't been infected and impacted by the stench of losing of this place, what this place usually does to people. They've brought this young and wild energy that's impacted the locker room, but I think has also, like we said, captivated the football world. So I'd love for you to basically expand on what you've seen basically building with those two guys and these guys since the summer.
Yeah, so like I wrote the story for the Post on Friday and I it was a tricky one to write because like Andrew Thomas, Brian Burns, Dexter Lawrence, they're all better players than Skattebo and Dart right now, right? They're
Yeah.
not Skattebo and Dart are not the Giants. They're not even in the top five Giants players. Those guys are better, and those guys who are better players, of course they expect to win. They're high level competitors, but like there is a muscle memory to the fact that like when you've seen things go wrong all the time, you like kind of expect them to go wrong. And like there is like I wasn't in New Orleans, but talking to the other media that was in there, there was oh we lost to the Saints, and it wasn't
Ho
like some
hum.
big yeah ho hum like we lost again. Like it wasn't like shocking that we just followed up a win against the Chargers with a loss against the Saints. So like I do think it becomes a disease that like a losing disease. Like Brian Burns is a great player. He's 27 and 75 in his career.
Yeah.
Like Andrew Thomas, a great player. He's like 25 and 40. Dexter Lawrence is going in the Ring of Honor. He's like 35 and 63 or something like that. So like I do think that infects you. And like Dart and like all the rookies come in and they don't expect that. Like I know it hit Jalen Hyatt like a ton of bricks when he came in and they, from Tennessee where they won and it was like, oh, this isn't what we do. And like I know it hit Saquon like a ton of bricks. Like Penn State was a great team and like the Giants couldn't get over the hump and it wore on him. And like for whatever reason, maybe it's because the team around them is better, so they're more capable of winning. Maybe it's because these two guys are so much fun. Like I don't mean they're not serious because they are. They're very committed, but they're just like dudes, for lack of a better term. They're just like dudes, bros. Like they have that persona of them it's really fun. Like it seems like they're playing pee-wee football. And like the physicality, I think, is part of it. And I just think it's rubbed off on their teammates who, whether it's the losing or don't forget the business aspect of it. Like Kayvon Thibodeau is a great player. He has to worry about his future and his contract. And if you watch the Saquon documentary, you saw how that sucked the fun out of Saquon. And like, I think there's a element of that. Like Dexter Lawrence had to get incentives added to his contract because he's been pushed down the defensive tackle payment rate. They don't have to worry about that. And they're just out there like kind of having fun. And I think that's rubbed off on their teammates. I mean, I've covered the NFL for 8 years. I've never heard teammates call each other psychopaths. And that's what they keep calling these two kids. They're psychopaths. They're insane. Not like they work hard or they're good teammates or they want it. Like all the cliches you normally get, they throw them out with these two. Insane psychopaths is not something you hear very often. And I think that's rubbed off.
And I think that's the difference. If you're hearing like the cliches, right? Like, oh, well, he's doing what he's got to do. He's working hard. We're behind him.
The Daniel Jones-isms.
But I think the fact that they're going out of their way, and I even talked to Illuminor on Friday, who, he's a guy that even if the team was losing, right? I still feel like he would go out of his way to give really good answers because that's the type of guy that he is. But something that's crazy to me, especially Dart, because Dart's he's the QB, he's the leader of the offense, kind of like the leader of the team. That's what you want your quarterback to be. A guy like Illuminor's been in the league since 2017. Dart's 22 years old. There's people in that Giants building that have been around football for 22 years, let alone, Jackson Dart's 22 years old. Yeah. So the energy, and even the words that are coming out of that locker room, what sticks out to me is that there's not like looking down on this guy like he's 22, like he's not. You use the word naive, and I think that's a great thing. Like they are naive, but not just. I don't know. How do I want to word this, Ryan? Like I don't even know. But the fact that there's such veterans here, like I've been there, I've done that, I know what I'm doing. I think I should know what it takes to be successful in this league. And the fact that these guys are coming in here with this ball of energy and this naiveness, and nobody's rolling their eyes at these guys.
Right. Cordell Flott said it's been refreshing. I thought that was the perfect word. Cordell Flott said refreshing. Yes. The veterans aren't looking down on them. They're looking at them honestly, almost like, and I don't mean this in a derogatory way. No one said this, but this is they're looking at it like they're fun little brothers. That's kind of what they're looking like. They're fun little brothers who like, you want to protect their innocence, but also you want their energy to rub off on you.
Yeah. Hopefully that continues. You got a 10-day break and do not have a Saints game. Do not have a Saints type of performance against the Broncos.
The one thing I'll say is the Giants, there hasn't been a lot of prosperity in my time around them, but when there has been, they do not handle prosperity well. They put the cart before the horse in the locker room, in the front office, in the coaching staff. They get ahead of themselves. And like it will be interesting to see if they can handle it better this time.
Yeah. So what in the world is now? We may even get an answer by the time this comes out tomorrow morning. But what in the world is going to happen with Brian Daboll and this whole Giants blue tent scandal? My guess is just a lot of fines. But even you've had conversations with people, probably even behind the scenes, as this weekend has unfolded.
Yeah, there's I think Mike Florio at PFT suggested they could lose a draft pick. I get the sense that that's more of like a worst case fear uh, than it is like something that they're expecting. If you can decipher those two scenarios, like I think that's like, oh God, I hope we don't lose this, but not expecting to. I think they're looking at a six-figure fine. Uh, probably a six, probably a six-figure fine for the organization, possibly a fine for the organization and a fine for the coach split between the two. Um, can't do it. And it's so Giants that on that same day, Alan Sills, the NFL CMO, gave media a tour of the concussion tent 4 hours before Daboll was in it and said explicitly, coaches and players are not allowed in here. And then the Giants had Daboll and Skattebo go in there. It was just like, oh, well, we don't even need to ask questions. We already have our answers. So, yeah, I think that's what's going to come of it. I'm not expecting a loss of a draft pick, but I'm expecting a heavy fine, possibly split between team and coach.
So what's their process with backup quarterback? Because the main thing is Brian Daboll goes into that blue tent and then he loses his mind because he saw Russell Wilson throw one football and he was like, yeah, that's enough for me to. He probably knew that he was breaking some sort of rule, but he just had to know what was going on with Jackson Dart. I also don't believe the whole we were going to go for on fourth down thing. Wasn't it like a 3rd and 9? Anyway, so he kind of lost his mind. He saw Russell Wilson make one throw and he's like, I need this kid back in the game. What is their thought process with backup quarterback right now?
It's a good question. I haven't really asked anybody that, like in the last week. That's a good question that I think we should start asking. I don't necessarily think that they're going to make the change. I I don't know what it would get. Like, I don't know what a purpose it would accomplish. Like, I think people who haven't seen Jameis Winston play are vastly overrating Jameis Winston's play. Like, the idea that, like, he's still this, like, 30 touchdown guy from the Buccaneers just sitting on the bench. Like, I think the NFL has told you what Jameis Winston is. He signed a 2-year, $8 million contract with the Giants. Did he have better offers? I've kind of heard he did, but not significantly better offers. Um, did he seems okay with being the number 3 quarterback? He's not kicking and screaming. The Bengals apparently didn't call the Giants. I think that was Connor Hughes's report. Didn't call the Giants to inquire about him. So, like, I don't think there's like, oh, I can't believe we're sitting Jameis Winston for Russell Wilson. I think Russell Wilson's probably better than Jameis Winston. So
Yeah.
I don't know that there's some great need to flip him. Plus, I think then you're really risking angering a guy who is a well-respected person in the NFL by demeaning him to third string quarterback.
Yeah.
And it also, again, I can't undersell this enough, just I don't know if I've said this on here or not, but like you sold to your team, your locker room, specifically your receivers, all year that like, and to your fan base that like Russell Wilson was the answer. He was gonna
Yep.
like have this great season, and like you got everybody to buy in on him, and then you benched him real quick, which I think had a chance to be an epic disaster of like our coaches and front office don't know what they're doing. They sold us this guy, and then they pull the string on him at their. But Jackson Dart being good has solved that. Like,
Yep.
oh, of course, like we had to. But if Dart was bad, it'd be like, whoa, 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 whoa. We can't evaluate our own talent. But Dart solved that. That took them off the hook. But then if you like bump him to third string quarterback, guys are going to be like, weren't they selling me that he was like great for my future
Yeah.
in July? Like, wasn't that? And now he's the third string quarterback. I wouldn't touch. It's a grenade I wouldn't touch.
It's also it's crazy that I thought that he would like request. I don't know, but if he would go as far to request a trade, because I don't think that's who Russell Wilson is. But you don't even think that he would try and pull some sort of backdoor like Daniel Jones did after he got benched. Like, hey, could you really try and get me out of here somehow?
Be surprised if he's done that. Like we haven't heard
Yeah.
that, but like he has a pretty buttoned up camp, so I wouldn't be surprised if he's done that. But I think he would find out pretty quickly there's not a great market for him, and then he would stay. I mean, what good does it do to force yourself out if you're going to find out that nobody wants you? then your career's basically over. So
Right.
I think it's better for him to sit there quietly and be like, well, yeah, hopefully Jackson Dart plays well. And then it's like, well, Russell Wilson got benched for a phenom. He could go be Joe Flacco because that's what keeps happening to Joe Flacco, or Tyrod Taylor because that's what keeps happening to Tyrod Taylor. Like, I think it's in his best interest not to force himself off the team. I wouldn't be surprised if he's already done his recon and found out there's not many options.
Yeah, since you thought that would be the place, and the choice to go Joe Flacco over him. I don't know if it's right. I don't know if it's wrong. I don't know if there's any right option for them, but like, damn, that's one where I'm going, damn, like that was like the perfect opportunity, and it didn't happen. Could have even used that draft pick to get a receiver.
Put it this way. He's not going to be anybody's starter. So he would
No.
have to go be somebody else's backup. Like he might as well just be Jackson Dart's backup. Like
Yeah.
he might as well just with the playbook he already knows or whatever in the city where his wife wants to live, like might as well just stay here and be this backup. He's not going to be somebody else's starter. And honestly, I'm going to disagree with you. I don't think Cincinnati was the best place for him because their offensive line is a tragedy.
Right.
And as we've seen, he needs to play behind a good
Yeah.
offensive line. Like
I think situation wise, like the fact that they just needed a
throwing in
quarterback
Jamar
like they
Chase and
needed
T.
air.
Higgins sounds great,
Yeah.
but not if you're gonna, not if you have to get the ball out super fast.
Right. And also you're a play away, and it's been twice in the last 3 games that we've all had to take collective breaths as a fan base, being like, did we just see the last play of Jackson Dart in this game?
Oh yeah, man.
So I think he's got to have that in the back of his mind too. Like, this guy is a nutcase, and he may get hurt, and then I am back in. So
Yeah, no, I think that's true, and I think there's an element to. No one wants to hear it right now, but there's an element to Jackson Dart needs to protect himself better. Like
yeah,
everybody's riding sky high on the athleticism of Dart and the energy and the uh all the fun things and the win, and nobody wants to tell him, you got to do this or you got to do that. But that's the job of the coaches. Like you can't launch yourself like a projectile head to head into somebody else, even if it is 3rd and 10 or
that was
whatever, and you're
nuts.
trying to get a first down because you're gonna get hurt. And the Giants have seen it with the much sturdier built Daniel Jones, who was often hurt as a running quarterback. Jackson Dart doesn't want to be in and out of the lineup. So he does need to protect himself better, even on third down.
All right, before we keep going and talking with Ryan Dunleavy, I got to talk to you about DraftKings, because this episode is sponsored by our partners over at the DraftKings Sportsbook. Stay in on the action and use your bonus bets on DraftKings same-game parlays for a shot at an even bigger payout. Love the thrill of live betting? DraftKings has got you covered. Bet live on star player props and in-progress games right as they happen. New customers bet $5 and get 3 months of League Pass. Get $300 if your bet wins. Paid in bonus bets. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code JMFootball. That's code JMFootball to get $300 in bonus bets instantly if your first $5 bet hits. Plus 3 months of NBA League Pass in partnership with DraftKings. The crown is yours. I'm going to ask you a 3-part question. You can attack it any way that you want. How seriously are they looking into wide receiver? Is there
Moderately seriously? Okay.
Moderately seriously. So I want to touch on that again. And then these are 2 little quick ones. Is there an expectation eventually Lil Jordan Humphrey will be signed to the active roster? And is the only reason he was activated off the practice squad is because Darius Slayton was unable to play?
Biggest reason, I don't know if only reason, but biggest reason.
Okay.
So let's go in. Yes, I think. I don't know if he would have been activated if not. The Giants are a very reactionary organization. That's just the truth. So I think the uproar over Jordan Humphrey not being um
Activated or signed.
activated against the Saints, I think would have got some people's attention and said maybe we should do this. Look, guys, there's a million examples of this. I'm going to just use the latest one. Is it a coincidence that the time that they scrapped the Cordell Flott Deontay Banks rotation is when everybody started screaming about it the most? I'm gonna say no. Like they'll tell you yes, like that was the plan going matchup specific, blah blah. No, it's not. No, everybody started screaming that about it and they changed it. So yes, I think it would have been coming eventually with little Jordan Humphrey. I think he played well enough now that you have to keep activating him, and unless something changes, I don't know why he wouldn't, be your number three receiver for the rest of the season when Darius Slayton comes back. So, I would say yes, that is coming, but probably not until use the full two practice squad
Right.
elevations before you have to do it. And then I would say moderately seriously. I talked to some executives with other teams who said they think the Giants have been calling around. They've heard that. Um, the question is, are they calling for some other team's washout where you trade for a seventh round pick? Or are they calling for a Chris Olave or a Jalen Waddle? And I haven't really gotten to the bottom of that yet. So I would say that I was fully against doing that if the Giants were 1-5. Don't care about the idea of helping Jackson Dart. Once you're 2-4 and Jackson Dart played as well as he did, now I'm much more interested in it. Now I'm like, look, it's not even about like, are we going to make the playoffs? It's about, are we able to help Jackson Dart? And that makes much more sense to me at 2-4 than it did at 1-5, and we know where this team is headed nowhere. Like it makes much more sense to me now. It's like, oh, look at Wandale had a huge game and like he might really be something. So like, are we gonna let him get suffocated by number one cornerbacks all the time? And like, I think it's very possible. Whoever the most expensive, let's say Olave is the number one most expensive receiver who gets traded.
Yep.
I don't think they're gonna do that. Let's say some other team's Jalen Hyatt can be had for a seventh round pick. I don't think they're going to do that. I think find the middle ground. Like, what does Jerry Jeudy cost?
Right.
Like, is Jerry Jeudy available for like a 3 and a 6 or something like that? Like, then that might entice them. So
Yeah, I'm not holding on to draft picks like I would be in the past. And honestly, like this Sunday's game kind of does mean a lot in terms of my brain and what I want to do. This Sunday's game against the Broncos, against the defense that philosophically is so different from what the previous teams have done. Fangio has a reputation for not blitzing. Jesse Minter has a reputation for not blitzing. Brandon Staley has a reputation for not blitzing. That's not what they do in Denver. So if they can, and this is on the road too, if they can find a way to win that game, I think third round may be a little rich for me, but I mean a fourth round pick and a sixth round pick. That's what Jeudy went for last year. I'm pretty sure.
there you go.
They would also need to move money around, but they have like $120 million.
Yeah,
in
I'm not worried about.
I'm not worried about money.
They can do stuff with Andrew with Dexter's contract, with Burns' contract. I'm not worried about the money. Yeah. Like these two guys don't. Also, let's not forget you haven't asked me yet about job security, which is the first thing you would ask me if they were 1-5.
Right.
So like, these two guys still have not saved their jobs. So like, if they have a chance to. Like those are somebody else's draft picks if they go 2-15. So, so yeah, I would think that they'd be willing to move some draft picks.
Yeah, and for me, it's not. And you mentioned playoffs. Like for me, it's and this could be semantics, Ryan. I realize that, but it's simply just competing in the months of November and December.
Correct. That's what I don't think. Stop. Like I don't want to pour cold water on the Giants fan, but like. Stop talking about the playoffs. Like, stop. Just you have a fun team who, like, for the first time in a while, the Giants are unpredictable, and like that's kind of fun. Like, I knew they were going to lose to the Eagles for 10 years. I knew this Broncos game. I've had it as a loss since the day the schedule came out. Like, probably a 20-point loss. And like now I'm like, they could win that game. And like, it's been a while since I thought like that. So like, just enjoy that and like have competitive game. The old John Mara, you want to be in it in December or whatever.
Yeah. That's all I want. I want to move to the defensive side because I think some players have said some interesting things, maybe without fully saying things about Shane Bowen over the last couple of days. So, what we saw on Thursday night, Shane Bowen mixed zone and man. He disguised pressures. He brought blitzes on Thursday, and that's not something that we've seen through the first 5 weeks of the season. It's been just line up, play cover one, and give cushion while doing it. Dex after the game said, yeah, we've been on him. And he laughed. He didn't say it like seriously. But he did say, yeah, we've been on him when asked about, kind of Bowen disguising some stuff and doing some different stuff schematically. Is there any indication that players have been challenging their play caller to kind of get more out of him and how they can just simply play better and be more aggressive as a unit?
So I asked Kayvon about it today. And I'll tell you what Kayvon said today. Yeah, I thought that was interesting because look, I tip my cap to guys like you. You're much more film oriented than I am. I learned stuff from the Giants film gurus out there. Um, and I picked up on the people complaining about how uh, telegraphed Bowen's defenses were. Then I heard Shane Rattler or Spencer Rattler say it himself. It became a huge talking point, and so it's been on my mind. I was like, "Ooh, that looks like a cover. That looks like a zero blitz." It was. They picked it off. Um, then I heard my ears perked when Dex said it. My ears perked when Burns said after the game that um, Bowen called it an aggressive game. He trusted the DBs. It felt like, hey, has this been a steady communication? Um, I asked Kayvon today. He said, I would say it starts with open communication and trust with the coaches and players. I think that's in this building, in this facility, but Bowen has been elevating and changing and evolving how he calls different games and his growth as our player and his growth as well as our players and understanding what works and what doesn't. I think Bowen does a great job of hearing the players. So I think what that tells you is there has been some pushback from the players that they want to play more aggressively. That Bowen, who last year was, I think, caught off guard by how under talented spots of the defense were, has
Right.
been maybe a little stuck in like shell shocked from last year's team, and maybe um, slow to accept that he can do different things with this team. I think it's a steady conversation. I think that you see he's starting to trust the players more, and the players are starting to get a little bit more of what they want, and they got to earn that, right? Like all
Yeah.
players can go say like, "Hey, I want to play aggressive man." Deontay Banks can walk in and say, "I want to play aggressive man to man." Well, it's Bowen's job to be like, "You can't do that." So like, they can ask all they want. He has to determine if they can do it. I think there's some give and take, and I think that they're reaching a good spot right now.
Yeah, and I even think, like, man, there's a slight disappointment with somebody like even like a Paulson Adebo, right? Who he got a defensive pass interference on Thursday night. It was a little bit of a bogus DPI, but I feel like if he doesn't get beat at the release, and he was lined up in press, so it's like, oh, he's not given 7 yards of cushion. That's awesome.
Yeah.
But he gets flagged, and he has gotten flagged throughout this entire season. And if you get
And he
beat at
gets
the release,
flagged a
that's
lot
not
in his
good.
career.
Yes. So if you're even Shane Bowen, you're probably looking at that too. I have a secondary, especially my nickel corner and my outside corner, who just get flagged all the time. Am I really going to put these guys in press so often where they're going to get beat at the release and then they have to grab and do stuff to, do stuff, then they're going to get flagged down the field, and that's basically allowing an explosive play. So I think it's a balance.
And then
though.
he's in an impossible spot where he can't tell you that.
Right.
So he can't dump on his players and be like, I don't think Drew Phillips can do this because he gets flagged too much. So like I think he has become a lightning rod, and I don't necessarily think that's fair. I think he's done the best with what he's had for a year and a half, and he's starting to get more aggressive now that the Giants players are starting to get better.
Yeah. You mentioned Deontay Banks benching, and this will be the last thing that we touch on together. The Deontay Banks benching, like the two things that were like the big moves. I mentioned little Jordan Humphrey and elevating him. It's like, oh, finally. And then Deontay Banks benching, like two things that just kind of had to happen. And you already kind of touched on this, but I want you to expand on a little bit more. It feels like they did that out of necessity and not out of their own like fruition. Like, oh, well, we're going to make this sound decision that is proactive and not reactive, like you said earlier. What's your take on that? And I'm sure now, like, there's no going back to that, right?
Well, Dabolls said it's a game to game thing. As soon as he said that, I was like, that can't be right. So I just I asked somebody in the building, and they don't know. I mean, I mean, Dayball said it. They don't know, but their thought was like that might be more to keep Deonte Banks engaged and happy than it is like actually considered going back to it because it'd be ludicrous to go back to it. One thing I've written a couple times that I heard is like that they were doing the rotation. Now, look, everybody, including myself, thinks they were doing the rotation to justify Deonte Banks playing uh justify a first round draft pick and not
Right.
zeroing him out the way that they were zeroing out Evan Neal. It's hard to
Yep.
zero out two straight first round draft picks. But one thing I had heard was there was some concern, like Flot's had history of leg hamstring issues, so that they were trying to take some of the load off of Flot early in the season to keep him healthy, like almost like the linebacker rotation. Like you might get a better Flot if he plays 75% of the snaps than you do if he plays 100, then he's going to get hurt and you're not going to have him for 3 weeks.
But you don't buy
I don't
that
know.
because
Huh?
Deonte Banks is playing on. You don't buy that though because Deonte Banks is playing on third down.
Yeah, I'm not saying I buy it. I'm just saying that's something I've heard. I
Yeah.
don't necessarily buy it. I think it's the first round thing. But yeah, I mean it's just I think they were justifying a draft pick, but it's at least it's a reason. Like it doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but at
Right.
least it was a reason. But yeah, I think it has to scrap now. And like I said earlier, and like you said, I mean, I just think fool me once, fool me twice. It's a very reactionary regime. It just is what it is. Like at some point you lose the benefit of the doubt. Maybe it really was their plan to scrap it in week 6. But I could give you 100 examples from Eric Gray punt returning on of like something becomes deafeningly loud and instead of being proactive, that's when the Giants make the change reactively. So it certainly feels like that. And it feels like the uproar, if they went back to it, would be so bad that they won't do it
Right.
because it does feel like public opinion sways decision making to a degree with the Giants.
Well, the great news is Deonte Banks is going to have a kick return for a touchdown this year.
He's good at it.
Yeah.
He's good at it. He's good at it. Like what he's not good at is being the other guy when he has to like block for Gunner. Like I watched him twice in the Eagles game. He didn't even contact anybody. He's not good at that, but he's good with the ball in his hands. Yeah, I don't know what they do with him. It would not surprise me. We talked about we talked about trading draft picks. I wonder if there's a receiver out there that you could get for Deonte Banks. Like it would not surprise me. They've held on to like they obviously held on to Evan Neal for too long, and now he's worthless. Could you, if you hold on to Deonte Banks through this season and into next season, he's going to be worthless again. So I wonder if there's a team right now as they're playing games short on corners. I mean, the Eagles' number 2 cornerback situation is a disaster. I
Awful.
don't know that the Giants are trading with the Eagles, but like, I'm just going to throw this out. Like, if Jahan Dotson for Deonte Banks like, could that make sense if like they weren't in the same division? Like, I don't know. I think I might do that if I was both teams, if I wasn't in the same division.
There was another football team, and remind me who it was that made this trade. There was another football team who found a way to trade Billy Price for BJ Hill.
Yeah.
Simply
Yeah.
because Billy Price was a former first round pick, and the NFL has this obsession with
Yeah.
former first round picks. So you never know.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean that kind of thing. Like and I saw Mike Tomlin just like shredded the Browns and Bengals for trading within division or whatever. So I can't imagine that Giants Eagles would make a trade, but like some other team who's a contender that I'm not thinking of right now probably has a bad number 2 corner, and maybe they had high grades on Deonte Banks, and maybe they have a third or fourth receiver that they're looking to move. Like, yeah, I guess that could work.
What's Christian Kirk doing in? Where is he? He's in Houston. What is he doing?
He's in Houston, I think. Yeah, like
Yeah.
exactly, like Christian Kirk. Like, and I don't know who their number 3 receiver is, but who their number 2 corner is. Christian Kirk has 10 catches for 109 yards. So he's been basically nullified and worthless there.
It's Darius
But
Slayton numbers.
Huh?
I think that's
Yeah.
Darius Slayton numbers.
But what's Christian Kirk's, what's left on his contract here? He's like, it looks like his base salary is $1.2 million. Like,
Take that.
that's nothing. That's nothing. So like, yeah, sure. Like that. Yes.
Yep. All right, Ryan Dunleavy. I appreciate you.
All right.
Will you be in
I
Denver?
appreciate you. I will be in Denver. I've never been.
Okay. Do you like feel the do you like when you're there? Do you like feel the altitude?
I've never
do you, like,
been.
Feel
I don't
different?
know. I've never been. It's my first trip. It's one of the few places I've never been.
All right. Well, report back on what you're feeling. I don't know if do you like feel different when you're 1,000 feet in the air? I have no clue.
I don't know. I'm looking forward to it.
All right, Ryan. Thank you.
Thanks, man.
All right. Thank you to Ryan Dunleavy for coming on the show. We'll be back on Friday with Sean Marash previewing the Broncos and the Giants. I want to ask Sean about his perspective and his opinion on if the Giants should go after a wide receiver, but I'll give some of my thoughts on that. But before I give my thoughts on what I kind of would like the Giants to do at wide receiver, I want to give a quick shout out to Nike because playoff baseball is going full throttle, and you know there's no one more trusted to get you postseason ready than Nike. So go check out our affiliate link in the description below to shop some amazing Nike postseason gear, and also, hey, get yourself some Giants stuff. The Giants are coming back. Our affiliate link is going to take you right to the Giants store as well. So go check that out. The link is in our description. So what I would want the Giants to do at wide receiver, it kind of is riding on how they look against Denver. Because you saw a game against the Chargers where they win, a game against the Chargers where they play complementary football on both sides of the ball, a game where they are physical, they run the ball in the fourth quarter, and they win. And the defense makes enough plays, they force turnovers that seals the game, right? The New Orleans Saints, they do not play complementary football. They allow big plays on the defensive side of the ball, and they turn the ball over 5 times on offense, and really 3 times when it mattered most, and it was 5 drives in a row. Against the Eagles, you play complementary football and you kick ass. Now, you're not going to kick ass like that every game, but a game where you force 2 takeaways in the second half that really sealed the game for you. You ran the ball, you were physical, right? And they're also really good in the first half, by the way. Let me read you these stats. I may even bring it up again on Friday earlier in the show. But the Giants' offense in the first half since Jackson Dart has taken over, they're 5th in EPA per play, 7th in EPA per pass, 11th in EPA per rush. The Giants' 6 first-half touchdowns is number 1 in the NFL. They have 8 total scoring drives. That's tied for first in the NFL. Dart is the number 1 QB in success rate in the first half. And, man, getting off to a fast start, I mean, it's huge. It really has been the difference maker really in all 3 games. Like the Giants playing with the lead, and then you can just play. You can play whatever game that you want when you get a lead like that. Now, that's not going to happen every game, but the fact that the opening script in the first half has been so damn good. Now, I'm interested to see. You're not always going to score on every opening drive, so how did the Giants pivot? How does Jackson Dart respond to that adversity? So not every game is going to get off to a fast start. Literally, every single game, Jackson Dart has gotten off to a fast start. So what are you going to do? And this Broncos defense is so different philosophically that I think it's going to throw Jackson Dart a different curveball than what the other defenses that he's faced so far. So all of this is to say, if the Giants do what they need to do against the Broncos this Sunday, or even if the game is close, as long as it's not another Saints game where you're just feeling so defeated, I would be fine with them giving up. Like, if you were to do the Jerry Jeudy trade all over again, a 4th-round pick and a 6th-round pick, I'm fine with that. I think I'm fine with that. You're not, even though like those draft picks, man, Joe Shane ain't that great at drafting to begin with. And if you become 3-4, and the only game that you've lost in the Jackson Dart era is a game where you turned over the ball 5 times, I think I would be okay with making some sort of move where you're giving up day 3 draft picks. And maybe even a player where you can have that guy as a wide receiver 2 for years to come. I'm okay with making that move. I think it's just there's no reason to really go into why that's best for the offense, why that's best for Dart, but they have to look like a competent football team against the Denver Broncos for me to be like, okay, it's worth giving up a 4th-round pick. I don't know about a 3rd-round pick, and especially 2nd and 1st, no. But I think the NFL has shown, like there's a track record of you can make moves, quality moves, by doing pick swaps for 6th-round picks, but giving up a 4th-round pick. I especially when things get closer to the trade deadline, like right now in the middle of October, I still think teams want to hold on to what they got. But as you get closer to a trade deadline and as teams start to lose more games, and if the Giants even win more games, like the more quality football that they show me, especially on the offensive side of the ball, the more that their team can play complete. All right, well, it may be worth going out and doing something. I think they can get something done that can move some sort of needle, even if it's not dramatically, with giving up a 4th-round pick. 4th and a 6th, 4th and a 5th, 4th and a 7th. I think they could, and I would be behind that. If you get embarrassed against the Broncos and they look like shit, I'm back out. I don't want to give up shit. Play a complete football game. Continue to play complimentary football. We'll be back on Friday. Sean Marash and I will be previewing the Broncos game. We'll probably talk a little bit more about this, and we'll see you then. Appreciate all you listening. Let's go Giants.
It starts today! Let's go Giants! We,